My name is Aydin. I started this school off back in 2004, so it's been a very long time. Prior to that, I was at university and I was doing a undergraduate course, and things were tough back then, so it was very difficult to sort of get through the weekends. So I thought for a moment, I said to myself, what is it that I want to do, or what is it that I need to do to sort of get through the weekends? So I was looking for some part-time casual work, and Crown Casino had just opened up back then. So it was a new attraction to Melbourne, and everybody was talking about it. So I said, with my friends, one day I said, come on, let's all go to Crown. And as soon as we got inside the complex, the first point of contact was their amazing looking security officers, and that straight away just captured my interest, and I said, aha, that's it, that's what I want to do. So I said, I want to become a security officer. Initially I just said to myself, I only want to do this for maybe a year or two until I graduate and find myself a proper job related to the field that I graduated in. But it didn't turn out to be like that. As soon as I started working at Crown, my employment went for a number of years, and the interesting part is it wasn't just working on the gaming floor. There was other sort of departments within Crown that you had the opportunity to sort of move around in, and I was lucky enough to sort of be given that opportunity. So I worked in their control room. I worked very closely with their casino crime unit, which is a branch of Victoria Police. I worked within their surveillance department, and also we had the opportunity to work as plainclothes officers. So as I was explored or exposed to all these different work environments, I started to feel a lot more closer to the industry. And then I realised, I said to myself, wow, for how long am I going to do this for? Because I for a moment, I sort of forgot all about what I did at uni. My late father, he said to me, look, he goes, for how long are you going to do this for? And I said, Dad, you know what? I said, I really want to do this. I just want to sort of do it until I sort of can find a light at the end. And it sort of turned out to be that I went back to uni, did a dip in secondary education, and I said I want to become a high school teacher. And once I started to do high school teaching, I didn't want to sort of be engaged with young kids, but I said to myself, I want to teach in something that I enjoyed working in, and that's where the light was, and it was teaching in security. I have a lot of passion for the industry, and then I said, how do I go about teaching in security? I wanted to pretty much train and deliver myself and be able to issue certificates to students. And cut a long story short, I looked into registering a training organisation, and there was a lot of complications at the very beginning, so it didn't happen very quickly. It took about, say, 18 months to get all the approvals and all the accreditations done. Once I got the approval, and I started to train in security, and I loved every minute of it. And I can just very easily relate to all my past experiences that I got taught on the gaming floor, how to interact with customers, how to deal with conflict situations, how to do proper incident report writings, and how to liaise with all other sort of department managers and so on. It was just a real eye-opener for me. And all of that was relayed to our students, which made it very, very attractive for them. And along with that, I realised that this industry, there's a gap in this industry, because a lot of the training organisations were just focusing on training, and it was pretty much up to them to be able to find a job. So I realised that I wanted to do something different for the industry, and that is delivering the proper training to all our students, having a good quality output, and also to be able to assist them with an employment outcome. Basically, who should come and do the training with us? I say this to people, if it's an industry that you would like to know more about, come to TAT and we will start them off with all the entry level requirement for training or the entry level requirement for licensing. Once they commence the Certificate 2 in security operations, we will then talk to them about the other different career pathways that are available, and people who would like to work, say, within the aviation sector, which is again a rapidly growing sector, the transport industry. Anybody who would like to have an interest that would like to work in, say, major events, sporting venues, nightclubs, any of these sort of, or even some sort of tourist attraction sites, such as like you have your Avalon Air Show, you have your Grand Finals, you have your Australian Open tennis, you have the Grand Prix. So there's a lot of major events happening in Melbourne. So people, if they would like to see themselves working, providing a service to the community, and if they want to sort of have a really good impact within the industry, they should come and do some training with us, and we'll assist them and guide them in the right direction for them to be able to see themselves to be working in those sectors. Now, security is a career now for a lot of the people. In the past, I'll probably say about 20 odd years ago, security was just about pubs and clubs, to be honest, and it's changed dramatically. So there's been a huge progression within the industry. Victoria Police, a Department of Victoria Police called the Licensing and Regulation Division have stepped in and have really sort of revamped the compliance side of things. So now people come and do their training and they can make it as a career out of it, because it's very diversified now, the security industry. So there's a control room where they can work in. They can work within the aviation sector, working as a security screening officer. And you'd see when you start working within this industry, you'd come across a lot of people who rely on the industry or rely on their field of employment as their bread and butter. So it is their livelihood. There is a need for female security officers. The industry does need this, so we encourage females also to come in to undertake their training and have that confidence to be able to carry out those duties, what a normal security officer would be doing. There are some good reputable organisations that have a long-term vision where they would like to sort of see at least 20% of the industry to be employed by female security officers. So come along and do your training and be ready to work out as a security officer. We have a very good close work relationship with Victoria Police. Now, as I said, they regulate the security industry. I try my very best to be able to attend to all these industry seminars. And for example, there is one coming up tomorrow, so I will be attending to that one as well to get an up-to-date sort of session about what changes are going to be happening within the industry. It's important that either myself or one of our compliance managers go out to these seminars to capture what changes are going to be enforced within the industry. So it's very important to sort of relay that information back onto our students as well. It's very important that you do work very closely with these regulators, and it really sort of gives that good sign of connection and also a good sign of care factor being put back into the industry. The industry is a growing industry, and I encourage people to come in and do their training because there is definitely an employment outcome. A lot of these large reputable organisations that that employ security officers always take on contracts, and there's a good sign of job security. There's a good sign of growth happening within the industry as well. So people who come and do the training would definitely be directed to one of our employees that we engage with. Our careers team engages with these employees, and they'll have the opportunity to be able to be interviewed with them as well. If you are a new entrant and you would like to work within the security industry, say for example you would like to work as a screening officer, you would first of all do your Certificate 2, finish that off, because that is the entry-level requirement for licensing in Victoria. After you have completed that and you've got your security license, we advise and encourage all students to come and do a screening course, and a lot of this training is all aviation specific. So basically we have cabin X-ray machines, we have walk-through metal detectors, we have explosive trace detectors. So we actually get the students to be able to play around with all these, and we put through boxes onto the conveyor belt. It goes through the cabin X-ray. Images get interpreted onto a screen, and they need to be able to identify what's an organic, inorganic, a steel object. So there's a lot of ongoing practices and assessments being conducted. And so we want to make sure that they have a very good understanding what happens at a screening point. And that is one of the key training required for a student to be able to work at the airport. Again, they get to experience to work on an explosive trace detector. So they pretty much swipe your clothes, your bags, or whatever it is, and then they put a piece of fabric into a machine, and it looks out for traces of narcotics or drugs or any explosive devices and things like that. So again, it sort of gives the students a very good sort of feel about, or how does it feel to be working at the airport. So they get to experience that real training happening in the classroom, and it's quite promising. It's quite interesting until when you start, because physically you see the machine, you're like, wow. So it's a really eye opener. So with the armed guard and cash and transit, again, it's a different area of security altogether. So people who are career focused, and if they have made up their mind and said that, look, I want to work as an armed guard officer. So again, we get them to do the Certificate 3 in armed guard and cash and transit training, and again, it gets very exciting in that course because students have the opportunity to be able to go out to the range and really sort of do some real live firing at the range. So they generally start from 5 metres, 7 metres to 10 metres. So we go through a lot of drills with them. It's a real gun that they are using. It's live ammunition, so it does get quite interesting. And again, but they need to have a very good understanding as to about safety and accuracy, and also understanding when can that firearm be used. So obviously, when there's a real impending threat to life, that's one of the key justifications in using a firearm. But there's also other areas that they need to also ensure that's in place, and it just makes it a lot more sort of comfortable for them to be able to carry a firearm and use it when they do need to use it. Students who complete the Certificate 3 in Armed Guard and Cash in Transit would then have the opportunity to be able to work for companies such as, say, Prosegur, Stream Corp Security, Armour Guard Security. Even Wilson's and MSS have also an armed division as well, and we've had quite a number of students that have come and done their training with us, and a couple of them also worked with MSS at the note printing factory in Craigieburn.